Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. So the tarantula gets a lot of hate these days. A lot of high-level players, they talk about tarantula. They think it's like a worse version of arclights. But I think people just haven't really figured it out. I think there's a place for tarantula in the current meta, and that could be very strong. And this is one of those games that's going to showcase the power of tarantula. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am playing as a quick supply specialist, and I am up against TNT 11, playing as a saber-tooth specialist. This is one of the games from my coaching streams that I do on the weekdays on Twitch. So if you haven't seen them, there's a link down below. I typically stream in the evenings from 8 to 11 East Coast time. Right off the bat here, I have sledgehammers and marksmen, and I'm up against spiders and fangs. Because I know I'm up against spiders, I want to make sure that I have enough damage output. So instead of getting chaff, I'm just going to put down a single squad of stormcallers, and they should be able to do a considerable amount of damage to these tarantulas. Sledgehammers are actually not terrible against tarantulas. They can do a lot of tanking, but what they are really not great at is chaff clear. Alright, so we got unit running to the tower. I think they are going to get that tower, which means it's bad news for my stormcallers. Alright, just in the nick of time, I was able to kill the spider. And that's going to be a quick win on round 1. Alright, round 2, we have some very interesting cars. I think mass-produced sledges is interesting, but you have to be very confident when you're going into that, right? Especially when you're the defender against aggro spiders and also a saber-tooth specialist with a saber-tooth in round 2. I've decided to go with the safer route and taking the shield. And this is the turn I'm going to put down a few more chaff and also another stormcaller. Right now, most of my opponent's units are fairly slow. So I want to see if I have an opportunity to capitalize on this slowness of my opponent's army. He did the right thing by adding even more chaff, realizing that the sledgehammers are just not that great in chaff clear. So now with a total of 5 trawlers up against only just 2 squads of sledgehammers, I think this is an excellent decision from his side. And by the way, I mean, I'm currently at about 1950 MMR, but TNT is only around 1600. So he's playing really well considering the MMR. He's playing way above what his MMR indicates. And that's the interesting thing in the current meta, or in the current state of the game, is that I've seen so many 1600 and 1700 MMR players playing as if they're in the high 1800 or even 1900s. So really great stuff. Because I truly believe that Mechabellum, or the fun part of Mechabellum, begins at 1600. Because from 0 to 1600, you're just learning the basics, unit counters, positioning, selling units, leveling units, ability cards, that sort of stuff. But at 1600s and above, that's when you truly can develop a play style of your own. And that's when you start to have fun. Okay, so this round I actually didn't lose as badly as I thought I would. I mean, it's a real pain to have this tarantula survive with like 2 HP. But it is what it is. So now that I know this is what's happening, I need a way to answer it. Wasp Swarm is interesting. I am going to take Wasp Swarm, and I might even take multiple squads of wasps as sort of a pseudo chaff clear. It's either that or I can go into maybe Wraith. Wraith are excellent against crawlers, not only because it can fire 4 guns at different units, but also a splash damage on that. But in this case, it's going to be Wasp. I'm trying to bank on the fact that my opponent does not have a lot of AA. And it should work well for me. The problem right now is just these fangs, but I feel like the stormcallers are just naturally great against fangs. Alright, the Wasp are doing their work, but it is getting a little scary at the front here because of the level 2 Tarantula. He is going to get my tower once again, but I feel like the Wasp should be able to mop up here. Ooh, this level 2 Tarantula is just tanking so much damage. And even though my opponent only has like 6 fans left, they're just picking off my Wasp one by one while this Tarantula tanks the damage. Alright, we got a unit drop here. Fire Badger is an excellent unit both against Chap as well as against big unit because I have the opportunity to take Ignite. But the first tag is not going to be Ignite, but instead it's just going to be Launcher Overload Stormcallers. Launcher Overload is a great ability when you're playing as a defender because when you're playing as a defender, you expect your opponent's units just run towards you. And with Launcher Overload, it still has a respectable range of 140. It does outrange the Tarantula by about 25 meters. And now it shoots twice as fast. So let's see how this one does. I had the Launcher Overload specifically to deal with these level 2 medium units, the Sabertooth and the Tarantula. My opponent picked the Farseer, a great unit to deal with my Wasp, but also supplementing the damage against my medium-sized units. That Farseer all the way at the corner here was able to take care of the pack of Wasp and now able to get to the tower. So a pretty devastating round really for me, and kudos to my opponent for choosing the correct unit to counter my board. Reinforcement Efficient Tech is picked. I am going to get Ignite and also later on into Range. For my Wasps, I might take Range or I might start selling these Wasps simply because they're just not that useful anymore. My opponent decided to take Tungsten, and that's going to get quite a few units right here. I think at this point I probably should have started selling my Sledgehammers as they are not really contributing much to the fight. This one here only did about 3,400 damage last round. With these two Tarantulas already leveled, this one level 2 and level 3, the Sledgehammers really aren't tanking that much. Alright, my opponent sold out the Phoenix, not the Phoenix, the Farseer right here. And decided to add a shallow flank and also working on just kind of creating this prison on the strong side. Another great thing I could have done is to level up this tower. I think the last couple rounds, I lost quite a lot of units when my opponent hits the tower. So I wonder if upgrading the tower is able to at least allow this Stormcaller right in the middle to go to have a few more volleys at my opponent's units. Mustangs are now on the board, which means the advantage or the surprise elements from this Wasp are no longer in effect. And here it is with the tower down. I'm not able to do the full damage. I mean, imagine if the tower is still alive. I should be able to get this Sabertooth before they get my tower. And that's simply not happening. So another huge round going to my opponent. Oof. Round 6, we got another unit drop. I think the best option here is probably the fort. Level 5 Rhino is also interesting if I can just get a mobile beacon into his tower. So I would take Whirlwind and just get mobile beacon into this tower. But I was just so worried about his unit getting to my unit too quickly. Now, I did have Ignite on the Fire Badgers, and I don't have enough Fire Badgers to actually make use of the Ignite effectively. And my opponent also took the forts. So I continue to add on more Fire Badgers on the flanks here. And here's one thing that my opponent did that just no way for me to answer that. And you'll see that in just a second. Oil is going to kill not just his chaff, but more importantly, these Mustangs, because I wanted to make my wasp work. Oh, okay. So it's actually not this round. I think I should be able to survive this round. And then the next round is really where that huge swing round happens. Okay, so for this round, the fire did work. I mean, I was just dealing with so many tarantulas. It's crazy. But with 895 HP left, I should still survive, even though I don't know how I'm able to kill these units. Oh, not too bad. Stormcaller getting down on the last second. All right, round 7. Still in it to win it, but let's see. Iron Blast, excellent card. Especially for the player that wants to seal the deal. I'm surprised he didn't take Iron Blast, but I mean, a well-placed Iron Blast like in this direction could completely decimate my line. I took the Iron Blast, so I decided to put it somewhere right here because I want to catch these Mustangs as well as getting to the Tarantulas. And here's the double tech on the Tarantula. Mech Rage and Fuel Maintenance. I think between the two, the most dangerous card is going to be the Fuel Maintenance. For now, I was able to get a lot of his units with my Stormcallers, with Launcher Overload, but with Fuel Maintenance, this level 4 Tarantula, I just don't see a way for me to kill him. The Fire Badger with Ignite certainly can contribute to the demise of this Tarantula, but, I mean, Mech Rage on a level 4 that deals 4,000 damage every half second, man, that's a very scary unit. Now, if you're playing like me, what would you do in this round? Let us know in the comments, because for me, I was really stumped here. I don't know what I need to do. EMP comes to mind. I thought about maybe getting EMP here, but until this round, I did not know there's going to be triple attack Tarantula. And it's just not worth it to EMP a Tarantula with just range, because it's not going to make that much of a difference. Yeah, so Iron Being goes through this Tarantula and it heals right up. This other Tarantula, though, did get killed by my Launcher Overloads, but yeah, it's just not enough. So these units are going to walk into the tower, get my units, and of course, win the game. So great game from TNT, an excellent play here, lots of pressure as an aggro player, and I simply was not able to answer effectively. And yeah, excellent game. Thank you for watching. If your break isn't over right this minute, you have to check out this video. I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.